Hello, you naughty little possums, and welcome back to the Funny Business Podcast. It is your co-host, Mr. Mike Gambita. a little bit of foreshadowing into what we are discussing in today's podcast. Really excited about it. But I think who else is more excited to talk about is my other co-host, Mr. Matt Summers. Matt, how are you doing? Any banter going on lately?
I don't know if excited is the right word for me to say, but it's going to be interesting. But no, everything's going well on to episode 14, and it's going to be an interesting one for sure.
Matt is trying to find the words, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, I have words. I'm going to save them for when the time comes.
I might have to censor some things out, ladies and gentlemen.
No, I'll keep my cool this time.
Oh, yeah. Unlike me last week.
Unlike the Love is Blind.
Oh, yeah. But anyways, guys, welcome back to another episode. We are going to kick things off today all the way over across the sea, the Atlantic Ocean, or unless Pacific if you want to go that way, into Japan, ladies and gentlemen. So an article surfaced not too long ago by the Daily Caller. And was an unusual headline because, you know, we're dealing with things with COVID-19, we're dealing with things with racial injustice, we're dealing with so many news headlines that it's a little bit of information overload. But this one kind of is a little chuckle, and I think it might put a smile on your face. But in Japan, they are banning yelling on roller coasters. And the big quote that comes out of the headline is, "Please scream inside your heart." So so there was a recent video that showed up, talking about riding a Fujiyama roller coaster in silence while wearing masks. So the whole preface of this is, the spread of the coronavirus pandemic, the serious face challenge is what they're calling it on social media. And that was according to the Wall Street Journal. And they released these health guidelines, and they say that coronavirus can be spread more widely by actions like coughing and singing. The theme park associations also recommend that guests wear masks, according to the report. And, of course, inside one of those was talking about screaming. So, Matt, I know probably both you and I have rode many roller coasters before.
I'm actually not a big roller coaster
Really?
guy. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I've
I'm
probably
sorry to put
only
that
ever
on you.
been on probably only ever been on like big actual roller coasters, like other than like rides at Disney. I don't really think that counts. But like an actual roller coaster, maybe like 5.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, I myself have been a big roller coaster fan myself. Back in Hershey Park, the first loop that I went through was the Super Duper Looper, and that was the first roller coaster, ladies and gentlemen, Hershey, PA, Hershey Park, that actually did a full loop. So that's the best roller coaster I recommend if you actually want to get through loops and flips and all that, is going to that one, because all you have to worry about is that one Super Duper Looper.
I've also never been to Hershey Park.
Well, Matt,
that's a fact. So
we got to go on a road trip. We got a road trip. Why don't we do a podcast on a roller coaster?
That would be interesting.
That would be very interesting. But going back to this, no yelling on a roller coaster.
I think it's impossible. Like I would not be able to sit on a roller coaster and not scream like a little girl because I'm scared. There's no way. Like if they wear masks, why can't they scream a little bit?
I think it's just promoting this. I mean, I really don't want to call it social distancing, but it's really preparing I actually saw in Delaware Corona Courtesies. That's a brand that I think Delaware is trying to perform, is Corona Courtesies.
Ah, that's interesting.
So I think Corona Courtesy could be applied to this, but it really fascinates me because I feel like Japan, when we talk about Japan all the time in some instances where they're really trying to, I guess, think outside the box is the best way to explain it. Like, was it Japan that started doing baseball games and they filled their seats up with stuffed animals, or was that Korea?
I think that was Korea.
That was Korea.
Yeah.
But even so, that area, I'm just gonna, I hate to generalize it, but that area just tries to think outside the box as far as trying to do something as far as engaging with their, I almost said alumni. Yeah, welcome to my job. Engaging with the public as far as, things that they're able to do within these certain circumstances. But to me, I can't see myself not screaming or at least like I don't want to say I'm in fear, but like just enjoying myself. I can't sit there and be like, oh yeah, it's just a ride.
Yeah, like I get trying to help tell people, to help not spread the virus as much. And I don't know what the numbers are over in Japan. I don't think they're as high as they are here, and I don't think any country is as high as us. Wear your mask, people.
Yeah, wear your damn mask.
But I just like if let them wear a mask on the roller coaster and let them scream a little bit. Like there's no way. Like what happens if they do scream on the roller coaster? Do they get kicked out?
So I'm actually reading through this article, and it did say those who violate the screaming rule won't be punished. So it's kind of like
so why establish the rule at all?
So why establish it?
So it's just like a guideline, not even a guideline. It's just like a
recommendation.
Like you said, a corona courtesy.
A recommendation.
A recommendation. Yeah, just please try not to scream on this roller coaster where you're going down like 100 miles an hour. Like there's no way that's gonna happen.
Yeah, they actually had a park guest, Natsumi Kumasawa. Wow, I'm really good with my
That was
Japanese.
pretty good.
That was actually pretty good.
Yeah,
Maybe. We don't know.
It
said that her 3-year-old daughter Yumi's first ride at Disneyland. So that was her first experience was at Disneyland. So her screaming really couldn't be helped. So I feel like when we go on experiences, like there's meant for things and actions to happen when we experience those things. Like when we're at a sports event, something amazing happens. Like you always want to stand up when something happens. Like something crazy happens, like whether it's a goal in hockey or an amazing alley-oop in basketball or the game-winning touchdown in football. Like there's so many things.
High-fiving random people that are sitting around you.
Right, and I think it's just we have to keep that in mind when we're moving forward in this, I guess I hate to say it, the world that we're living in today, where people are trying to be courteous amongst others, especially during this time. And, Matt, I really was thinking, in some cases, some people have compromised immune systems, and then some people are trying to deal with things like cancer or trying to recover anything from whether it's smoking or things like that. And I think we're just being really more careful in the sense, but I think this has gone a little too far as not screaming on a roller coaster.
Yeah, I mean, as long as they keep people socially distanced on the roller coaster, like don't have max capacity on there. Like if it's like have every other row empty, and it's not like they're screaming like at someone. They're screaming like out in the air. Now I understand they could still get caught, but I don't see how that could be like a high possibility. Maybe it is. I don't know. I'm not an expert. But also, I would envision this like everyone on the roller coaster just going the whole time with a straight face, like not smiling, not anything. They just like stare faced, and then they get off the roller coaster, and it looks like they didn't even have a good time. But it's just because they're not allowed to scream.
Now I actually am I'm a huge hypocrite, believe it or not. So, so my senior trip down to Florida, I actually know somebody. It's my good old high school mentor best friend, teacher, mentor, everything in between. His name's Sean. Sean is emotionless on roller coasters.
Like he just shows no emotion at all?
Yeah, he just sits there. Like he just
Does he have a smile on his face?
Sometimes. I'll give it sometimes, but like nothing where he's just like, like straight face. So what him and I did, maybe I'll find the picture and I'll actually post it on our social media the following week when we publish this episode. Is we went to Busch Gardens. Is that Busch Garden or Gardens?
Busch Gardens.
Busch Gardens, yeah. We were down in Tampa, down for our senior class trip. We had Disney World and like all these experiences, 22-hour bus ride. It was fun. Blue Man Group, that was especially amazing. And Cirque du Soleil. There's so many cool things, but
there's so much to do down there.
So much to do down there. But we went down to Busch Gardens and we went on the ride called the Cheetah Hunt. And I got with him and I said, Sean, well, Mr. Gehring, that's what I said. Mr. Gehring, I said, can we do the straight face challenge when the camera rolls by? So I looked at him when the ride first started and I assumed the position, and that was the whole entire time. And I was like, I'll do this until the picture's taken, but I'll actually enjoy myself. And then that was probably the only time I saw some type of emotion from him because we took the photo. So
that's crazy.
It was good. I enjoyed it, and such a good memory that Sean and I have, especially being down in Florida. So
yeah, I'm just someone who's terrified of roller coasters. Like I couldn't not make any like some type of face. Like I'd probably just scream the whole time anyway, like run off the roller coaster scared. But I guess that's just me.
We'll see. Yeah, I mean, Matt, maybe we'll break that fear when we get into.
I'm down. I got a lot of stuff to do. I got to learn how to ride a bike. I got to not be afraid of roller coasters. My list just keeps growing and growing.
Yeah. And you can all thank this podcast for it.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Well, hopefully, everyone that does decide to go to any theme park, that you socially distance and you kind of follow those guidelines, because we just want to be done with this. We really do. Like, it's awful.
I've heard they're getting kind of close with the vaccine.
I did hear that too.
So that's good news. Hopefully.
Very good news.
I mean, they got to like test it and then they got to mass produce it, so it's still going to be a while. But I think there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, and we'll be praying and hoping for the rest of the time that we do our episodes, and who knows, we may get our first ever live podcast when Matt and I are actually in the same room. So
it's gonna happen at some point.
It probably will, and we'll have this full-on celebration and whatnot. So, but
yep.
Speaking of celebrations, Matt, let's move into one of our most anticipated segments. It may be a double segment today, ladies and gentlemen, but as you all recall, Matt watched Too Hot to Handle, but before that, we both watched Love is Blind. Matt was the first one to watch. I was the first one to watch Too Hot to Handle. So I said, Matt, while I'm on vacation, why don't you watch Too Hot to Handle? So that way we can cover it for the podcast. Was super difficult to not go into detail as far as the discussion, because we obviously wanted to save it for the podcast. So I'm really excited to hear what Matt has to say. Again, there will probably be spoilers, so hopefully you can skip through if you really don't want to listen to it. But I think it'd be fun to hear our perspectives. And I tell you, Matt, it's a really corny show, if I'm being completely 100% honest.
So I think I was on record of saying Love is Blind was the show that I loved to hate. I take that back. I loved Love is Blind. This show, I don't even think I loved to hate it. I just I'm not going to say I hated this show, but the people were so infuriating.
So let's dive deep into exactly what Too Hot to Handle is, in case you have not seen it yet, if you don't want to see it, or if you are just curious and you can follow along with us. So Netflix released this reality dating show, which I'm really surprised they call it a reality dating show, Too Hot to Handle. It is they actually called it a Little Big, a Little Big Brother, a Little Love is Blind. Oh, okay, so they actually mixed it. So here's the best thing to do. It's a mix of TV shows. It's a Little Love Island, a Little Big Brother, a Little Love is Blind, and a Little Seinfeld. Very thrown off by that curve.
Seinfeld part, I don't get at all.
Yeah.
But the other three I can see.
Yeah. So this 8-episode series consisted of about 10 single individuals that were just sent to paradise. I think it was along somewhat near Mexico. Really fantastic place that they housed them in. They're absolutely beautiful. So what they don't realize is they thought it was a extensive getaway. They were going to enjoy themselves. They entered a place where the magic isn't actually going to happen. So to win $100,000 in grand prize, these individuals had to give up sex completely. No kissing, no anything, literally anything. No kiss, it was no touching, no heavy petting, or it's going to cost them. So with those individuals, I'll kind of scroll through these as we go along. So there was Chloe, who was from the United Kingdom, 20 years old. There was Sharon. Sharon, my God. See, It's been a while since that. Yes. Sharon.
I know. I popped up on screen and I was like, oh, Sharon. That's
Sharon.
Sharon.
Sharon. There was Haley, who was from Florida. Harry, which we'll get into, from Australia. Not a little possum. David, who was from the United Kingdom again. Francesca, who is from Canada. Matt, who is from Colorado. Rhonda, who is from Georgia. Nicole, who is from Ireland. Kelz, so it's Kelz, was from United Kingdom. And I think that was that was everyone. So at the moment, they actually added a few more, I believe, latter.
They added Bryce, who lived on a boat in California. Corey, who I believe was also from the UK. And then they added, I think it was Madison, and I forget the other girl's name, Alyssa, I believe it was.
So really what went down is, I forget how many days, Matt, was it that they went through?
I that was one of the questions I had. I didn't know how long they were there.
It seemed like a couple weeks.
Yes,
it seemed like a month.
I thought. I was going to say, I thought it was a month. Yeah.
But they kind of sped it up a little bit and they compressed it into 8 episodes. So, Matt, I kind of want to hear, I don't know how to tackle this one exactly. With the show itself, they did a lot of relationship building. They really wanted these individuals to focus on their relationship building skills, their self-confidence, and so many things. So they went through a couple classes that they did. The challenge was not to be a horn dog, was probably the best way to explain it. But, I think we saw a lot of individuals that came together and kind of found themselves, which, I was super happy with it. But I kind of want to hear your thoughts on the concept of the show. And, by the way, there was this like Siri, Alexa. I don't want it to go off because it's in my kitchen. Kind of person named Lana, who is kind of big brother, big sister watching these 8 horn dogs coming together, or 11 put them together. So, Matt, I want to kind of hear your concept, what your thoughts are, and what you got for me.
Well, it's funny because as everyone's getting to the island, they're all talking about like how much like sex they have and like how it's it's not hard for them to have sex, and then they have no idea until like halfway through the first episode that they're not allowed to, and then all their faces were like, "Oh man, like this sucks." Like, that was pretty funny to watch. And then after, if there is a violation, they get money deducted, obviously. Correct. From the 100,000. And after the first one, there were people like crying because they lost like $3,000 after somebody kissed, which was just hysterical. Because that real quick, number one, what pissed me off in the show, after the first episode, after the first violation where they lost money, everyone was like, "All right, we can't do this anymore." And there was a fight on like who kissed who and yada yada yada. But then as the show kept going on, as people kept telling other people that they violated the rules, people were like, "It's all right. Like, congratulations. Like, that was so good." What are you talking about? The first time it happened, everyone's freaking out about the money. But now because, they're finding deeper connections with, I don't really think a lot of people made a lot of deep connections with anyone. But all of a sudden, they just didn't care about the money anymore. And then at the end, they started to care about the money again. Like, that infuriated me. But I like the idea of having personal growth. Like, obviously these people were missing something in their lives that like they couldn't reach an emotional connection to someone, and I think for a lot of these people it was a little eye-opener that like maybe they do need to learn how to make that emotional connection with someone.
I thought it was really funny too because so I when I was reading off the names, the person that I didn't recognize was Matthew, and he's from Colorado. But they kept calling him Jesus on the show.
That's because he did kind of look like
Jesus.
Jesus.
He literally looked like Jesus, guys.
And acted like Jesus in a way.
Yeah.
Too.
So he actually left. There were some people that actually just left because they weren't seeking what they wanted to find on the island. And I thought that was really interesting. What I also thought was interesting, too, is when they threw in those 3... rattle those off again, the 3 individuals that went through.
Corey, Alyssa, and I think her name was Madison.
Yeah. Corey, Alyssa, and Madison. I just thought it was too late in the episode. Like, it was too late in the series being like, why? Like, I get it. Like, temptation is there. Like, you kind of got everyone settled with the rest of them. Oh, here comes 3 more hunks. Oh, one guy actually spends his whole entire life on a freaking boat. Like, I didn't like that because I felt like there could be more tension with the original 8 to begin with.
I agree. That was definitely too late in the show to add 3 people. But going back to Matthew, so Matthew actually left on his own.
Yes,
that was his
yes.
choice.
No one voted him off the island.
Right.
Like
there were 3 other people. It was Haley, Corey and Madison, I believe, they got, like, Lana told them to leave because they just weren't putting any effort to try to grow themselves. So it sucked when Matthew left because I really liked him as a person. He just couldn't find a connection with anyone there. That was kind of sad to watch.
Yeah, poor Jesus. Well, maybe we'll see a second coming. We'll never know.
Yeah, I mean, you never know.
Now, Matt, I kind of want to hear your thoughts on some of the couples that at least kind of formed somewhat of a relationship.
So who do you want to dive into, Harry and Francesca first?
Let's save them.
Okay.
Let's save them a little later because
Okay.
there's a little more breaking news that I have to share with you. But let's talk about Sharonda. That was the couple name. Sharonda. That's
yeah.
Sharon and Rhonda. I thought that was a really good, I guess, development within the series. But I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
I liked them together. Sharon had problems like connecting emotionally, and then they kind of drifted apart, and then he kind of realized was talking with David, and then David and I almost said David and Sharonda. David and Rhonda kind of
that would have been really weird.
And David kind of thought it was like he didn't want to step his boundaries with Sharon, and then had to talk with Sharon. So Sharon eventually came around, and I did like them together, and then just didn't end up working.
Yeah.
At the end.
No.
So at the reunion show, again, spoilers, but at the reunion show, they left the island as a couple, and then the reunion, they're not together anymore, but they're still friendly with each other. So it seems like, you never know what happened, but at least they're still friendly towards each other.
I felt like that was the most legitimate relationship building between Sharonda. Like, I think that was the most legitimate as far as that. Wasn't
it was
too
the
much
healthiest,
drama.
at least.
The healthiest.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Francesca and the naughty little possum, Harry. Harry actually runs this clothing line called Naughty Little Possums. So that's kind of where he gets his, I guess, his little tagline. Hopefully he doesn't make royalties off this podcast if he hears it. So
Harry was by far my least favorite person in the show.
Okay.
He wins the award. I don't know if he wins. Yeah, he wins the award for biggest douchebag on the show. He just started going off on how he was DMing Kim Kardashian and Kendall Jenner, and just talks about how many girls slide in his DMs. And then what really pissed me off was when actually a few things pissed me off about him. He said that Francesca kissed him when he totally kissed Francesca.
Yes, I thought that was a total like douche move.
And then in front of everyone, as everyone found out they kissed, he still lied about it. And Francesca still somehow took him back, which I don't understand. And then what actually pissed me off is when Francesca and Kels went on their date.
Yes.
He was like, "Oh, Kels is like so much uglier than I am." First of all, false. Kels is a good-looking dude, and I would love to see Harry tell that to his face.
Yeah,
because Kels would have kicked his ass.
Yeah, he would have knocked him up.
Kels, I think, is one of those person in the world. He could beat up anyone in the world, like anyone. He's jacked.
But I feel like he's a gentle giant. Like, he's not one of those individuals that gets ticked off all the time. Like, if he gets upset, you're gonna regret it.
Yes. Yeah. Even when like Harry and him had to talk about Francesca, he didn't really like. Yeah. You didn't really see a soft side to him. He was like, "Yeah, whatever. I'm gonna go for it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work." Mm-hmm. Kels was by far my favorite person on the show.
Interesting. I thought Jesus was my favorite character, but a little bit more detail. Francesca and Harry Francesca actually made out with Haley.
Yep.
Haley, that cost her $3,000. And then they did, I believe, they really didn't kind of go into extreme detail as far as, what happened. But they ended up, this weird thing, it was called the, what room was it? It was called the...
It was kind of a honeymoon suite type of deal.
It was a honeymoon suite, the Temptation Room. Yes. I think that's what they called it.
Something like that, yeah.
They literally got a night to themselves, king-size bed, a big jar of condoms on the right-hand side, a nice big bath, and like all these things to like just set the mood. So like they got a night, and they actually cost them, I believe
it was $20,000.
$20,000 for, I guess, in the way we found out was sex, correct?
Yes.
$20,000 for sex. Would you have sex for somebody to lose $20,000?
No. Absolutely not. Listen, if for $100,000, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
These people were nuts. They were nuts for doing, like, a kiss was $3,000. What are you doing? Like, that,
Kiss
just
a
to
pillow.
have some self-control.
Kiss a pillow.
Yes, legit. Yes.
So they like got back and forth with dates, and then they were wearing these watches, and if they ended up controlling or be able to learn from the moment, they actually got a green light on their watches, and they were allowed to do whatever they wanted to.
Could you imagine if that was like a real life thing?
Nope.
That would be insane.
Maybe work related, but not relationship building, because I just feel like that would be hairy and a half, as far meaning
Yes.
like really like tangled and all that stuff. So Matt, I think you saw that Harry and Francesca ended up being a couple at the end of the show, and I feel
Real
like
quick, can I just talk on Francesca for a hot sec?
heck yeah, go for
Okay.
it.
So her and Harry made up and were together for like 2 episodes, basically.
Yeah, I kind of skipped that. I'm sorry.
But then Corey comes along and asks Francesca on a date, and she says yes. What? Are you kidding me? Like, Francesca was my second least favorite person on the show. And then Corey's third, because Corey's just the douche.
Yeah.
But, like, how do you go from Harry's the worst, I'm never talking to him again, to taking him back, to then, I'm going to go on a date with Corey? Like, what are you doing? Like, just come on. Have some self-control.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that was... Girls do that, man. I hate to admit it. Girls do that. Like, they'll do something in order for them to actually realize their own feelings and then move forward with, what they expect to do.
And, I mean, she did at the end. Like, I think she made the right call, so...
Yeah. I mean, in opposite cases, guys do that absolutely to themselves.
Yes.
I don't want to... Just because we've been on, Matt and I both on the receiving end of said things in that sense. But
Yes.
I know we did find out, Matt, that they actually were a couple at the end of the show.
Yes.
They were dating. What you didn't know was after the show, wasn't too long ago, a couple of weeks ago, they broke up.
Did you watch the reunion show?
I watched the reunion show.
When he proposed with the freaking ring pop?
I just completely went over that. But they actually had a huge breakup over social media. Like, Francesca made a YouTube video, Harry made an Instagram live, and,
Like
both
after
stories.
the proposal?
Like, yeah, this was totally after the show.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh my
Like, this is drama.
They broke up once before after the show, and then they got back together, and
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
I just knew it kind of didn't, it wasn't going to work out for them.
It was too rocky. Like, the whole show, they were up and down, up and down, up and down. I had hopes, but I guess those hopes didn't work.
Get high hopes for a reason, so.
Who was your favorite from the show? Person, couple, doesn't matter.
I like Sharonda. I like the development of Sharonda, at least in that sense, but I like Sharon's personality. Like, I mean, not his personality of his sex life, but just more so how Sharon was with we won't speak about what Sharon's first impression was, because he made a statement and we're like, oh, what?
Yeah, that was TMI. Way too much TMI.
But what I want to kind of talk about is Chloe. Chloe, I think, had the biggest learning experience from this whole entire show, if I'm being completely honest. Chloe is by far one of the most blonde individuals that was on the show. You could see it in between her side interviews and during her time on the show. I was expecting her to kind of develop into like losing money for the individuals. But in essence, what she actually really gained is, oh God, who was the one that went on? I'm losing these names. It's been so long. The one that went on the date with Francesca after Harry was that whole situation?
Corey.
Corey was getting into Chloe, and then Chloe was into it at first, but then she took this like self-assessment class, and she found out it was this really weird thing. I think it was after, I can't believe I'm going to talk about this, but they were, the girls, it was a girls only class.
Yes.
They decided to draw their private parts.
Yes.
And what the private parts meant to them.
Yes.
It was weird.
I mean, I guess
I
think it's weird for us because we're guys. I think girls would understand it a little better.
Yeah.
And they all enjoyed it. They loved it.
Yeah, I think they really had a good good reflection on that.
Yeah, I agree. Chloe definitely did have the biggest like transition from the start to the beginning, because at first he went to David, and then Bryce came, and then it was Corey, and she didn't end up, finding love or finding affection for everyone. But I think she knows now what she's looking for in life, and I think she's on the right path to that.
Yeah, no, and I think for her, like, she turned around. I forget what she said. She literally screamed it out. And I'm like, why did she scream that out? Like, I think I'm an independent woman. Like,
Something
I'm independent,
like that,
strong, independent woman. Like,
yes.
I was like, that was totally forced by the producers for her to say that at the end of the episode.
I also liked David. I thought David was a really cool dude. I think he was down to earth. Just seemed like he'd be a cool guy to get a beer with. Like, he was friends with everybody. Like, no one really had beef with David at all.
Yeah. I think so too. Oh God, the boat guy,
Bryce.
Why am I losing these names today? Bryce. I wouldn't mind hanging out with him, like, on his boat,
especially on the boat. Yeah, on the boat. He also like lives on the boat. That was
right.
And I think it was Nicole or Haley. Someone was like, I don't know if he's like super rich or super poor because he has to live in a boat. That was funny. Like, if he owns a boat, he's probably super rich, girl.
Yeah. But, Matt, I kind of want to, like, bring it all together. I know we said, like, love is blind. It's too hot to handle. I don't want to, like, ask a weird question during this podcast, but do you feel like in relationships, let's generalize it. Let's not talk about from experience. Let's generalize it. Do you feel temptation is a thing? And do you feel we all have not the right, but we all have the discipline to make the right decisions and to be able to formulate our own opinions about ourselves, and most importantly, be confident about who we are as a person?
Oh, I definitely think temptation is real. I mean, there's temptation every day, not just sexual, but there's, temptation all around you. But I do think we all have that self-desire, or not self-control, maybe is the word
better
to look for. Yeah, self-control, that we can, like, choose when we need to go towards temptation or when to not. I think it just depends on, who you are as a person, what your goals are, and everything like that.
Yeah, you said it best, Matt. And to kind of, I guess, wrap it up, if in case people were wondering who won the prize money, that was something I didn't like. Like, that was something I absolutely didn't like. So they actually split it amongst the people who were left on the island.
They never even said in the beginning of the show how it was distributed. So the whole time we're watching this, I was like, all right, does each person get 100,000 or do they split it? Because the contestants, like, acted like they didn't even know.
Mm-hmm. So they got about $7,500 each.
Yeah,
was the end of that.
Yeah, that was not worth it.
Yeah.
Also, I'm going to go off on the reunion show real quick.
Go for it.
That was the worst episode of the whole thing. They didn't even talk to everybody.
They did it.
How do you have a reunion show? David didn't get talked to. David was like a focal point in every episode. You don't talk to him. And you talk to Haley, who got kicked out of the show because she wasn't putting enough effort in, but you're going to talk to her for like 5 minutes? That was bullshit.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
And rant.
So hopefully you guys get a chance to see it on Netflix. I think it's a great show, and Matt, I think we need to find another show in order for us to review, because I like how cheesy this stuff is, and I think it's a good thing to talk about on the pod.
Listen, if it gives me an opportunity to watch Netflix, I'm down.
Netflix and chill. All right, when we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we got our sports topics for the day. Don't go anywhere. Matt, I got to tell you, I am so happy we're continuing to make more episodes for our podcast.
You're so right, Mike. I really am enjoying hearing how awesome each episode is every week from everyone. It's so easy to do.
It is so easy. And we have Anchor, our sponsor for this episode, to thank for. Anchor is free to anyone that wants to start a podcast. It's easy for beginners with the creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. It also helps distribute our podcasts so our listeners can tune in to their platform of choice, like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and more.
And Mike, I got to tell you, I was skeptical before, but we actually are making a profit off this podcast. We are still a small podcast, but it's nice to see the progress we have made with each episode with that money.
Yes, we are making it rain. Kind of. Anchor is everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's anchor.fm.
And who knows, you may start a podcast with your best friend.
That's right. Roommates for life. Now back to the podcast.
Okay, let's slide into the sports segments for today. So we got some NBA talk to start off. So obviously the NBA coming back in a few days, actually. They're already starting to practice there. People are getting to Orlando. Testing's going on to make sure no one's got COVID. And if they do, they got to, quarantine for 2 weeks. But the big news coming out of the NBA the last few weeks has been the NBA hotline tip. So, Mike, I don't know if you've seen this, but the NBA has set up what's called the hotline, the bubble hotline, where if a player sees another player or coach breaking the rules of their quarantine or the rules within the bubble, they can call this hotline tip to snitch on someone.
Cheapers.
So last week there was a bunch of talk going on. Jimmy Butler had someone come to his room because someone called the hotline tip complaining he was dribbling the basketball while they were trying to sleep. That was funny. There was a Kings player, Rashawn Holmes, I believe it was, who he had to quarantine. He might still be in quarantine. I don't remember exactly how many days he had to, because he crossed the boundaries that they were given to pick up a Postmates order, which was even more funny because Kelly Oubre of my Phoenix Suns tweeted out, hey, and he tweeted at NBA players and was like, if you guys need to pick up your food, you can just meet them across the street, which is what this guy did. So then Oubre replied to his tweet, was like, never mind, LOL. That was funny. Then you have someone like Doc Rivers, the coach of the Clippers, saying, oh yeah, today I called in LeBron. Tomorrow I'm going to call in Coach Pop, and we're going to be the only team left by the end of this. That was funny. So people are going insane on Twitter on, this whole bubble situation, how it's going to work out. Everyone was blaming Chris Paul for reporting everybody because he just loves to point the finger at everybody. And it's just, I wanted to hear your thoughts on how this bubble is going to work out, and also the thoughts on the hotline itself. And are these people snitchers or no? Are they just following the rules?
I think to answer your immediate question, Matt, I think they are following the rules. And I know that might be a spicy take because no one likes a snitch.
Snitches get stitches.
Snitches get stitches. But I think in reality, Matt, they're trying to do their jobs as far as being NBA. Like it's a weird scene because they're playing basketball. Playing basketball is their job, and I think going through protocol like myself, like my job, I have to wear a mask when I go in. If I don't feel well, even if it's a sniffle, cough, sneeze, anything, I have to stay home. So I think what they're in reality, what they're trying to do is they're trying to keep everybody safe. But I mean, let's put it this way. I mean, even with all of the the situations that are going on, I've been watching this rookie on the 76ers. They have a YouTube channel, and they're documenting day by day what's going on in the bubble. And just the reality being of doing so much testing, doing so much, can't do this, can't do that. I think what boggles my mind was in the first episode, he didn't get silverware for his delivered lunch. So they actually deliver breakfast, lunch, and dinner to their hotel door, to their room door, and then they pick it up. He called his agent. You can call the front desk. You can call the front desk and say, hey, come pick up some silverware. You don't have to call your freaking agent and say, yeah, I forgot some utensils. What are you, 12? That's my rant. But I feel like this hotline is just an establishment to make sure that everyone is safe. Because if one person in this so-called bubble gets the coronavirus, the whole entire NBA, I'd say, the top players of the NBA are screwed. And I think we need to be cautious of that because that's really going to set the tone for other sports teams. Let's take baseball, for example. Baseball is kind of, it's kind of working its way in and trying to figure out a way to, work out its season. But NBA has it so secluded in the area, you can't really seclude baseball in the way. So I think just trying to figure out a way to handle this situation while still doing their job is all I think they're trying to do right now.
I think it's just funny. I envisioning a player seeing a guy cross the street to pick up Postmates is like, oh, I gotta report him, and like calls the hotline. Dwight Howard got the hotline called on him for breaking the rules, which probably doesn't surprise anyone if you follow the NBA. This bubble is going to be so... Like someone said, they need a reality TV show for this bubble.
The bubble.
Like I need an episode every other day of like the hot news stories. Like I need it. There's players... We're really finding out like the true personality of the players in this bubble. Guys are shotgunning beers like in the hot tubs left and right. I think JJ Redick... I think he was in an ice bath and was like shotgunning a beer. That was funny. And then my only other question to you is, how long does it take till someone calls the hotline because LeBron's blasting music late at night because he's drank too much wine? I think it's coming in the next 2 weeks.
I think
if
LeBron...
you don't know, LeBron is... I'm not going to say he's addicted to wine, but he loves his wine.
He's a wine connoisseur.
Yes.
I think LeBron probably, because the NBA and ESPN likes to, no offense, but suck his toes. I think he probably has the penthouse in comparison to that whole entire hotel. Sure. While I wouldn't be surprised, I think having the extent of him, I would say maybe, let's say by the time the season, the season's soon starting, so I'd say we have a couple more days, and I feel like these days are like the highest of the bid.
I think it would be interesting to see, like, once we get to the playoffs, like, if more people start calling the hotline and be like, hey, like, this guy had a good game.
Yeah.
I think I saw him crossing the street the other day. Like, because they get, like, warnings and violations as they get more calls about a certain player. So, like, it'd be interesting to see if guys start, like, stretching the truth a little bit just to, like, see if they can have some power and affect their own playoff team. That'd be funny to see.
Drake, hotline bling. It's going to be the curse. It's the hotline that's going to cause, the teams to lose. So
yeah, maybe he's there to support his Raptors, because I think he's actually part owner.
He is.
I thought I made that up, but
okay, he is. He is.
Okay, cool.
No wonder why he gets front court seats. Like,
yes, even though the Drake curse was broken last year.
Yes, thanks to the fun guy, Kawhi Leonard.
Yes, Mr. Fun Guy.
Aha.
All right. So another thing this is to transition into our next segment. So the NBA was doing something different for this bubble, where players can choose if they want some sort of racial injustice or like equality saying on the back of their jersey for a nameplate. So a majority of the players, I think it was like 280 out of like the 320 players or something like that, are going to put some kind of message on the back of their jersey, so it's not going to show their last name, whether it's equality or Black Lives Matter or something like that. Jimmy Butler, as a quick side note, he wants to have his blank because he said if he wasn't in the NBA, he would just be a nobody like everybody else. I don't know if the league approved that one yet, but I like that. I like the idea he was going with. So it got me thinking jerseys going to be a little different this year, and teams have so many jerseys. So I thought we would talk about our top 3 favorite throwback jerseys in sports. So it doesn't just have to be basketball. Could be football, baseball, hockey, soccer if there's throwback soccer jerseys. But people love when teams bring back like a throwback jersey for a game or for like 5 games during the season. So I thought it'd just be something interesting if we talked about our top 3 favorite jerseys. So I'll start with my number 3. All 3 of mine are basketball, just because I love basketball throwback jerseys. My number 3 is going to be right now though the Memphis Grizzlies, but the Vancouver Grizzlies jerseys with like that. Was it like a teal green?
It's a teal green.
Yeah, teal green with like the grizzly bear coming off the chest. They started wearing that a little more this season, and then they actually changed the court to make it look like the Vancouver Grizzlies court. Phenomenal jersey.
Yeah, I think it was good.
Yes.
I totally want number 3 to be the Toronto Raptors throwback jersey, which is the purple, and you really see the raptor that comes out, like the original. Is it the original logo? Yeah, I think it's around the original logo.
I think it is. Yes.
The original logo, like the Tyrannosaurus Rex, out in his jersey, and I think that's like a vintage, like anybody who knows the retro, like if you know Vince Carter in the dunk contest, like that's what he wore that won the dunk contest was that jersey. So I
think he's why that jersey was so popular, because every time you Google that jersey, it's always Vince Carter. Maybe
Uh-huh.
once in a while you see a Tracy McGrady jersey, but like you don't think of anyone else when you think of that jersey. You think of Vince Carter.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So my number 2, I'm going to go with the Utah Jazz when they had like the mountain in their logo. That's an all-time jersey. Like the color coordination, the way the mountain looks like on the jersey, and like the old school flooring they used to have was just it brings me back to like 90s basketball, which I just love.
Yeah.
One of my favorite jerseys of all time.
I think my number 2 would, and it's an interesting one, is the actual Cleveland Cavaliers throwback jersey with the orange, blue, and black. Cleveland has gone through so many color changes within its years, from straight orange to the wine and gold. Wine. Yeah, the wine and gold. Yeah. Okay. I don't know why I thought wine was yellow for some reason. It's a white wine, but red.
Cleveland's had like so many jersey changes in the last like 10 years. Like it's a little too much if I'm being honest.
Mm-hmm. So,
go ahead.
Yeah, I think it's just it's a good color scheme. Like it's nice, clean. It's not too obnoxious, but it's subtle and it's good. At least in my opinion. Like I like that jersey, and I wish they kind of kept with that color. But I think they brought it back a couple of times. They brought that color back a couple of times, and I kind of was like, whoa, like who is that team? And I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, that's the Cavs that are playing. So
yeah, they haven't brought it back a lot, like often. I feel like a few years ago they brought it back a lot, but I agree. I think it's better than what they have now, if we're being honest. They should just bring that back like full time. Mm-hmm. My number 1, you already said, the Toronto Raptors. My favorite basketball jersey of all time. I've been on the lookout for like getting a Vince Carter jersey for like years, and I just like can't find one for a good price. But when I get my it's insane. But once I get my hands on one, that's gonna be my favorite jersey.
And you're gonna wear it for the next the following podcast that you purchase the jersey.
Probably.
So my number 1 is actually the Miami Heat, which is the black with the red stripes. Now I know like the Heat kind of threw in the Miami what they call it, the Miami Vice. I love those colors.
Sick.
Those jerseys are freaking cool. But gosh. I think going with the the original black with the 2 stripes on the sides, like it's such. I mean, my high school. Wow, look at that! I'm wearing a Honesdale shirt. Honesdale was red and black, so I immediately fell in love with the Miami Heat because they were red and black. So having that jersey color just brings back so many good memories within sports of my own, high school sports. But it's a very clean look that I like, and but I am still loving the Miami Vice for the current year for the Miami Heat. So
yeah, the Heat throwback jerseys, they're so clean. They're just like, you look at them and it's just like, that's an awesome jersey. Do you own any throwback jerseys of any kind? Do you own any jerseys of anything?
I own my Harlem Globetrotters jersey that I wore.
That's a good point. I forgot about that one.
my own jersey.
That's no one else in the world can say that.
Yeah, wow. I'm surprised I haven't been so what do you call it, facetious and talked about my own experience. But for those who don't know, I played with the Harlem Globetrotters at one point. So
it was a fun time.
Matt was there.
I was there.
You were there.
I was.
Yeah. So but I have that, and then I actually have the retro one too. So like during the 90-year anniversary, they have the retro jerseys that we wore, and then the simple red, white, and blue. So it was like white with the red and blue lettering and stars, but the real Harlem Globetrotters jerseys with the red, white, and blue jerseys itself. I'm trying to think if I have a Rail Rider, Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders, but it's a Scranton Wilkes-Barre Yankees jersey.
Yes. That is a throwback. That counts.
That technically is a throwback.
It does.
And do you? I'm thinking. Do you have any jerseys?
I have a bunch of jerseys. I do have a throwback. I'm a Phoenix Suns fan. You don't need to apologize to me. I know our team sucks. Even though we're in the bubble, that's all that matters. Yeah. I have a throwback Charles Barkley. Like they have the old throwback. It's the black jersey with like the shooting sun going across the stripe. I was supposed to go to a Suns Sixers game in March, so I thought I would wear a Charles Barkley jersey in Philly while I'm representing the Suns, and then COVID happened, so I didn't get a chance to wear it yet. But I think that's the only throwback one I have.
I actually have a Cleveland Cavaliers. I think it was like, when did he move to the Heat? 07?
Oh, no, it was 10 years ago. It was 10 years ago.
Really?
Yes, the decision was like 10 years ago, like
oh my
a week
gosh.
ago. Yes.
Okay, so 2008, 2009, I actually have the away jersey of the Cleveland Cavaliers LeBron James jersey somewhere.
Ooh, that's nice. I also do have an old, not old, but like Steve Nash's sons, like the all orange jersey.
Yeah.
That's probably my favorite one.
Sick jersey.
Like, yeah, that is a sick jersey.
Oh, man. Maybe we should start an apparel someday. Jerseys, funny business jerseys.
You never know.
Could you imagine 3-on-3 basketball tournaments? We come in as funny business, and it's literally our faces on the jersey.
We just get wrecked after one quarter.
At least we had fun doing it.
Yeah, that's true. But if you guys have any, favorite retro jerseys that you have, send us a picture of it. We'll post it on all social media. So with that being said, it is time for everyone's favorite segment. Take it. So, Mike, for this week, no food again. 2 weeks in a row.
Oh,
no
wow.
Food. No, I know. I was digging deep for this one.
Yeah.
Little bit. So not a little bit. It is sports related.
Okay.
But I'm excited to hear your opinion on this.
I'm ready.
So, what do you prefer? So, when I say prefer, I'd say like prefer watching.
Okay.
College sports, collegiate sports, or professional sports?
Ooh. Oh, that's tough.
It really is.
It depends on the sport, but
All right, so I'll go first.
okay.
I would watch, as much as I love professional sports, I love, and I mean love, college sports. Like college football, college basketball are probably my top two favorite sports. Like there's nothing better in a fall than just sitting with your friends and family on a Saturday afternoon, just Saturday night, just watching college football all day long. Or there's nothing better. March Madness is the best sports time of the year. March is the best sports month ever. It's my favorite sports month of the year because you got the NBA playoffs wrapping up. You got MLB starting up soon. You got hockey starting to wrap up. But March Madness is just awesome. And the reason why I like college sports better, I feel like any team can win on any given day, which you can say that in the professional sports. But 9 times out of 10, you know who's going to be good in the pro sports and who's going to be bad. College, there's so many surprise teams every year that start off like 8-0 in college football and have a chance to make the playoffs. Or, a Cinderella story makes a run to March Madness. Like, I just love the storyline of college sports a little better than professional sports.
Yeah, I feel like as a majority, Matt, I feel like professional sports would be my take. When I used to coach basketball, I'd always say, if you have nothing going on in March as far as TV, tune into March Madness. Like, please do that. But I enjoy. I'll tell you this: soccer. You can barely find any college soccer like on TV, so you kind of have to watch the professional level. But I enjoy the professional level because of the amount of. I don't want to say the integrity of the game, but just how great they are at the passing and just the possession of the game. And, they are a little, they do play a little bit more acting than most, college. I mean, you just run through everybody, but, I feel like with professional sports, there is a good take in soccer. Baseball, on the other hand, I mean, you're seeing these guys that are just killing it. Like, you are bombing it, like Aaron Judge, Giancarlo. I'm only naming Yankees fans because everybody else sucks. Bryce Harper for the Phillies because I know some people that listen are Phillies fans. Phillies are my second favorite team. What else? I'm just trying to think what other sports. Cornhole. No, I'm just kidding. Not that total sidebar. Have you been seeing the Red Bull trials on ESPN?
I have.
Do you know what I'm talking about? So it's literally soapbox racing that goes down the hill, and they try to create. I kid you not. Sorry, I'm totally taking away from your Take It segment, but
no, you're good.
Literally, it is a challenge of just just Joes like us that build these soapboxes and they have to try to navigate an obstacle. They get rated on their time of their trial, which is going through that obstacle. It's all downhill. Their performance, so they have a performance before they start going down, and then their theme. So they get judged on all three aspects, and then they ride down, and it's either freaking hilarious or it's fascinating because they make it down with this huge, gigantic, it looks like it would never ever work, but here we are.
That's funny. I gotta find that.
But please do. I mean, it's like every weekend. I feel like when I'm at Jenna's house every weekend, it's on, and her dad Steve and I just watch it every time. We just crack up just watching it. But I feel like with football itself, I mean, I'm not a big football guy, but I will have to say you are right with just the amount of intensity, and you never know what's going to happen within any game itself with any upset. I mean, kind of NFL, we're starting to get into the more power teams, and we know like this team's going to win unless, like the dumb Patriots that take it easy on the last game and find out you can't make the playoffs. But, I feel like for MLS, like that's the only MLS and the EuroLeague or anything like that, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Liverpool, all those things, like you kind of have to watch professional soccer in order for you to actually get the experience and learn from it. Because, like I said, anytime I coach basketball, I said, if you need to watch something, watch college basketball. You will learn so much more than this dumb NBA basketball with a couple steps. But I also appreciate the athletic ability of our NBA players, and sometimes they like to snitch on the snitching hotline. So
yeah, when we talk about sports, we usually do talk about professional, but I sometimes I don't want to say this in the wrong sense, but I feel like professional athletes sometimes have their own agenda of what they want to accomplish, whether that's getting the contract. I mean, we just saw Patrick Mahomes, the quarterback of the Chiefs.
Dear God.
Just got a 10-year, $503 million contract.
He gets paid $1.98 a second.
Yes, that's insane. That's even when A-Rod got his contract, there was stats like that going around. He got twice of what A-Rod got. Almost twice of what A-Rod got.
Nuts.
But, I feel like sometimes when players start getting paid, and they just have some own personal agendas. And when you're playing a college sport, your goal is to make it to the professional leagues. If you're good enough, sometimes they just want to finish playing college sport for the last time in their life. And I just feel like the passion's more there in collegiate sports than it is professional.
I feel like when it comes to our topics, Matt, and obviously this is your half of the pod is sports. I feel like we end up talking about more stories that are relating to the drama and the outside stories rather than some of the feats and the actions that are done by these players. And it's not that we don't like the sports, in my humble opinion. It's just we find more of the hilarity and more things to talk about when Tom Brady goes into the wrong house down in Florida. There's so many things that we crack up over because these guys are professional athletes, but sometimes they're just not professionals in the real world.
Yes.
But taking a look at it from the perspective, these guys got out of college and they just stuck with their professional sport for the rest of their life. So it's they never really got the experience of figuring out loans, how to buy a house. Was just petty cash that they threw out. Be like, yeah, I'll buy these 3 houses that, it's out of the way and just make one big house. But, I still have a couple mil left, but,
and I don't want to sound like I blame the players for trying to make the most money. They should. You should make as much money as you can, especially in football. You never know, one hit could be the end of your career. It's just, they have to build. What I think people sometimes forget about professional athletes is when they get these big contracts, one, there's so much money in sports that you can't just pay them $10,000 because these owners are making billions of dollars. Mm-hmm. And they're trying to build not only the brand of their team, but they're also trying to build the brand for themselves so that when they retire, they can still make have an income coming in and have a career after their sports career.
Absolutely.
I think people forget that sometimes.
I think we're kind of missing out too with COVID-19 for, college sports kind of being eradicated throughout the entire year of 2020. So I hopefully within 2021 we'll start, or even the fall of 2020, we'll start to see some college sports, and we'll start to, be able to talk about that in the next coming episodes.
And hopefully with fans too. I don't know if you saw, but last week NASCAR had their All-Star race in Bristol, Tennessee, and they had 20,000 fans. So the capacity of the Bristol Raceway is 160,000.
Okay.
So they were spread out pretty far from what I've seen, but they were hoping to get like 30,000. I think they only got like 20. But they had like mobile ticketing, so they didn't really have a lot of contact with a lot of things. It was interesting. It seemed to work. We'll see what the numbers say afterwards, but
yeah, I mean that's probably the size of well, no, I don't want to try to make number assumptions, but I was going to try to poke fun at a really crappy team. It'd be like, wow, that's like sold out show at the Miami Dolphins game.
There actually was someone was talking to the player from the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yeah,
I don't know if you saw this, and the Rays get like maybe 6,000 people a game. And someone asked him like, hey, like, is it gonna be weird like not having like fans at your game? And he was just like, yeah, I mean, no one comes to our games anyway, so not really. Just like roasted his own team.
Oh my gosh! Well, yeah, I apologize if that wasn't what you were looking forward to in an argument, but
no, I didn't think. I kind of knew where you were going to go with that anyway, because we don't really talk about like specific college sports teams when we talk. We usually talk about the NBA or the MLB or the NFL and stuff like that. So
yeah, well, but yeah, Matt, why don't you wrap up this pod? I usually wrap up the podcast, so I know this is like totally like off kilter, but like why don't you wrap up this podcast?
My brain is like running in a mile. Like, how do I do this? What do I do?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, but that concludes today's episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. We're gonna have another great one for you next week. You can find us on social media, Funny Business Entertainment on Facebook and Instagram, and at Funny Business EN on Twitter. You can find us live streaming on YouTube at least once a week, and I do promise I am going to start getting on live streaming more. Maybe not this coming week, but I'm going to get there. I am going to try Warzone for the first time on live stream. But thank you guys once again for tuning in. And we'll see you next week. Stay safe, everyone.
Oh, darn. I was going to take that. But
no,
catch you all in the next one.
Stay safe.
Wait.
Yes.
Hey, Google. Turn on the lamp. Okay. I don't know why I didn't. Like, I looked and I'm like...